I have with me three experts in this space, three experts that I personally have leaned on throughout my career. And so for me, it's an honor to be able to have them here with us and talking specifically about having the right mindset in the time of crisis, which I know many business owners feel like is happening right now. So I want to introduce the panel here, and they just popped up their videos. And so let's start first with my friend Lodro Rinsler. He is a meditation speaker, a meditation teacher, author of 6 books, and he is the co-founder of Mindful Meditation Studios in New York City. But if I know Lodro, I know that he is actually best known for creating the world's largest pancake. Not just any, it was a blueberry one. That is correct. Yes, yes. There you go. All right. And then my next person on the panel is Stan Pearson. And so Stan is an award-winning speaker and author of several books that focuses on helping people have the right mindset with his mental flight school. And but that's not what he's best known for. Stan, you're actually best known, I don't even know if you know this, but you're the inspiration behind the very popular movie Daddy Daycare. You didn't even know it, but there you go. Sign him up. And then lastly, my good friend Eric Lachtefeld, he is there. You see him there showing the Golden Gate Bridge. And Eric is a Blisspreneur, and he starts and invests in businesses that from people who have a secret or unrealized ambition, that he helps them transform it into a great business. He's personally owned, ran, sold several businesses, all worth multi-millions of dollars. Eric not only does the work for others, but he did it himself in his life. But Eric, that's not what you're best known for. Did you know you are best known for having the world's longest staring contest with a lion? And you won.
Yes, even longer than the Lion King.
Yeah, that's right. So just to make sure your mics are good, can each of you just quickly say hello, starting with Lodro?
Hi, everyone. Wonderful to be here.
All right, Stan?
Hey, everyone. Great to be here.
All right, and then Eric?
Hello, everybody from the Bay Area.
Perfect. Love it. Well, I'm so happy to have all you here, and let's just get right into it because there's so much knowledge between the three of you, and then I'm happy to facilitate this. So starting, Eric, why is having the right mindset right now helpful in times like this when it feels like there's just so many fires going on? Why is the mindset, why are we talking about mindset? Why is it helpful?
What we're really talking about is aligning with good feelings. And so you have a choice to make. You can wake up every day and align with bad feelings and feel terrible the whole day long, or you can align with good feelings. And so you can make decisions on how best to do that. For some people, it's going for a run. For me, it's inspirational writing, different rituals that you stick with. But if you're aligning with good feelings, you're at least in a place where you can function. You know, you can think clearly, you can make good decisions. More importantly, you can treat people well, right? If you're aligning with bad feelings, you're liable to yell at your own mother, your wonderful, beautiful mother that brought you into the world. So I would encourage you to look at ways that you can do that on a daily basis and then make those non-negotiable.
That's great. Next time I argue with my mom, I'm just going to tell her I'm not in the right mindset right now. I will come back to you. That's good. Stan, you look like you're in a place that might create a beautiful mindset. If you truly are outdoors, I don't know anymore with Zoom. If you're actually
I'm outdoors. Yeah, this is real. So I apologize for any birds you hear chirping.
Wow, look at this. So tell us, why are you outside in a Zoom setting? And then why does the mindset matter? When all this is happening?
Right. So part of finding the right mindset is having the right environment and understanding that there's power in peace. So whether it's finding that inner peace, that outer peace, because with peace, there comes power and control. And so when you're able to have a calm and a peace about you, you're able to make more clear and concise decisions about what needs to happen and how it needs to happen, as opposed to just moving at the first thing you might hear or see.
So Stan, I'm actually going to stay with you for just a moment on that. And you said that having the right environment, what would you say, what are the things that are going to help in terms of the environment to make it help my mindset? And then what are the things that are actually would cause challenges?
Cool. So peaceful environment. So even if we're talking about music virtually, and I would say instrumental more than music with words, sometimes words can inspire you to feel how someone else felt as opposed to how you yourself are feeling. What creates challenges? Dissension, confusion, complications. And if we can stay in control of having those things in another place or getting away from those things, that is where there's power created. So being in places that are going to feed you as opposed to take away from you, gives you a great advantage to lean into. Not always easy, but necessary to find those places and create them.
Yeah, and then Lojo, coming to you, I know you've built an entire business and career out of essentially helping people to have the right mindset, or maybe even just forget about the things that are going on inside their mind and clear it. Why is now maybe more than ever so important to have the right mindset?
Yeah, it's a great question. We are living in what is increasingly an uncertain and groundless time. So the notion that we could do things to actually keep us grounded and that we don't have to rely on a lot of external factors, we can actually rely on ourselves, is pretty amazing for most people. So it's similar to what Eric was talking about. If I turned to everyone here and I said, make a choice right now. You could choose being stressed out or you can choose happiness. What would you choose? And, people can type in if they'd like, but after the years of doing this, I have found that it's 100% success rate. No one has ever chosen stress. Right? It's just not what people do. So in that moment, we just made a choice. Okay, I'm choosing happiness. And then as you noted, like I teach meditation, but meditation is essentially a way that we choose this over and over and over again. So I'm seeing people type in happiness right now, 100% success rate, this question. So we are with the body breathing, for example, if we're doing mindfulness in the breath practice, and then the mind wanders off and says, oh my God, that stressful thing. But what are you going to do about that? And we acknowledge it. And then we come back to the breath. This literally rewires and retrains the brain over a period of a few weeks. All of a sudden, we have these new neural synapses firing, saying, oh, I don't have to chase after every stressful thought. I can come back to what's going on right now. What we find when we actually come back over and over again is, oh, in this moment, I'm okay. In this moment, I can be relaxed. I can find a sense of peace and even happiness. So what we're doing is actually rewiring the brain in that direction through the practice.
Now, Lojo, you make it sound so easy just to choose happiness. Like I love it because I go for it. But if I can't pay payroll and I'm arguing with my spouse and my poor cat just passed away, is it literally just choose happiness? And Eric, I'm going to come to you next with that same question. So just get ready. But Lojo, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll be curious what Eric says. It's not like a choose happiness, like it's not a Pollyanna thing. It's not like, oh, I'm choosing happiness and then the stressors of the world fall away. It's, I can actually choose how to work with mental energy, regardless of whether things are going positively or negatively in my life. Right now, there is a time of a lot of stress, a lot of fear and panic are coming to people's doors, and it's really hard, as I said, to remain grounded in a groundless time. So the idea here is, where do we want to put our mental energy? The cat died. Do we want to put it towards mourning the cat, honoring the cat's life, being there and open-hearted about that? Or do we want to freak out? Because it's just a question, like we're going to spend mental energy no matter what. Where do we want to place it? And it's the more we actually start to lean into these tough decisions of saying, I'm not going to let myself chase after every stressful thought. I'm not going to go down every single rabbit hole. The more we catch ourselves coming back over and over again, the more the brain says, oh, there's another way of being. But it takes time, admittedly. It takes time and dedication for us to train the mind.
And so, Eric, you have a lot of business experience around this. Is there maybe one situation that you could draw from and share a story of a business experience where it was a crisis and you chose to use your energy in the positive way? And how did you do that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have about 20 businesses. I'm not looking to compare or impress anybody, but there were certain businesses in the travel and entertainment and retreat mastermind world that really concern me. So they got my first attention, my first priority. And one of them, Bliss Champions, that you mentioned earlier, literally helps entrepreneurs start businesses, right? So there was a real concern there because we had retreats coming up a week ago. So this was a month ago that we reacted, and then in May. And so we spent 2 days positively brainstorming on how to make an adjustment to the business to retain our customers And I think that if we went down the rabbit hole of negative feelings, oh, me, I'm not going to be in Cabo or Italy or these other places we were supposed to do our retreats, I don't think we could have effectively positively brainstormed. So as Lodro would point out, all pain and suffering either comes from the past, bringing it forward into the moment, or from that which hasn't happened yet in the future. So if you can keep yourself in the present, unless somebody's punching you in the face, which is actually physical pain, or you have the virus, which is physical pain, you do have a choice. And I just choose to be at an optimum state to be making these major decisions as a business owner. So it took us about 2 days, but we were able to come up with 3 or 4 fantastic ideas. We threw out some good ideas into the toilet that could have worked too, but ultimately we got to the best ones. And then we were able to confidently roll those out to our customers. And we retained 100% of our customers for the first 2 weeks. We just lost our first customer. I feel very unrelated to the product or price or anything like that. Totally understandable. Husband lost the job, all these different things, but I'm really proud of that. And I don't think we could have done that if we were in a negative mindset, just being eaten alive. And believe me, we've all had our days. There's nobody that hasn't had a day. I had a day when I tried to use the SBA website on the very first day they were offering loans. And it took me 4 hours at AOL circa 1998 dial-up speeds. I let that get to me, and it ruined my whole rest of the day. And it wasn't until I woke up in the next morning, it was just something about that, like the government's loan website not actually working. Being a Silicon Valley guy, that just drove me bananas. And so I woke up the next morning and I caught myself and I said, okay, new day. There's no way I can make good decisions if I feel like I did yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. When you said punch in the face, I was also I was going to say the SBA loan website as another example of like, it's okay if you're frustrated. We all are.
Yeah.
Eric, I want to stay with you for a moment here because you mentioned the phrase positively brainstorming.
Yeah.
What is that and what's that process? Because there's people who have companies that would love to do that.
Yeah. So 3 reasons people don't ever achieve their dreams. Number 1 is they never begin. So that's really obvious, right? Number 2 is people are excellent at quitting, like literally world class. So having a strategy for not quitting is important. And people look at me crazy when I say, what's your strategy for not quitting? But the third one is to have a good decision-making process. Overall, people are also horrendous at making decisions. So those are the muscles we need to flex and we need to really develop, especially in a time like this. So the decision-making process can't just be all emotional or all attached to one positive vibe or negative vibe. We need to develop a decision-making tree that checks several boxes. And I think that's the skill set that we have to develop the most right now in order to be able to make good decisions, particularly about that which hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Can I throw out one more thing, Tom? I'd say if we can replace fear with curiosity, I know that's a word you really like, I think that's a really healthy approach to business and what's going on right now. So for instance, if you're like in favor of one of the guys running for president, right? And you're like super fearful that the election's not going to happen, maybe you just change it to, oh, I'm very curious if they're still going to have the election. Because we don't actually know what's going to happen next. Being curious about it is a different vibe altogether than freaking out about it, right? So I try to remind myself often that I don't have a crystal ball, but I can be curious. And being curious might actually lead to some positive brainstorming.
Yeah, that's great. Stan,
yes, sir.
I know each one of you can set the mindset whenever you need. But what about if you have someone around you, someone that's in your space, your sphere? Maybe it's an employee, maybe it's a co-founder, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your kids or someone that they're going through the crisis. So, and you tell them to choose happiness or choose fear. And they're like, I choose fear. Like, how can you help guide them? How can you get them to them to have that positive mindset?
Also, number 1 is understanding what the brain does, right? Or the amygdala, the emotional piece. So there's that part that's going to allow one to grieve, to feel, and to acknowledge that. And there'll be a time to feel, to grieve. And then there has to be the how-tos. Like, how do we get here? Which is a question. And as we all know, the value of our lives and who we become is largely based on the questions we ask ourselves daily. So being willing to ask them questions about how they feel, why they feel, and do they want to feel better, right? So we want to get them to affirm before we move forward on the how-tos. And while that can be very frustrating, even still, if you get it and someone else doesn't, what I found to be really helpful personally, professionally, and with other family members is be willing to give a very intentional, purposeful, deep breath before speaking or acting. Because then, that creates some kind of empathy and understanding, because people know when you pause, you care. Even if you're pretending to care, right? Which is not the case, right? Even if you pause and take a deep breath, people, oh, they're thinking about this, which I think that lends value, calm, and peace, because this is where we want to stay. We want to be right here. And there are good things and bad things that might happen, but when we're right here, we think the sharpest, we think the best.
Yeah, it reminds me of the story of the farmer. The farmer and his son breaks his leg, and I'm sure the three of you have heard this. The son breaks his leg, and someone says, "Oh, it's so horrible. Your son broke his leg," and he goes, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" And then it keeps going and going like that, because situations keep happening. Is this a good thing, bad thing? Why do we have to label it? Yeah, Eric. So, Eric, I'm going to come back to you about the employees, because I know you have. I want to talk how you're managing the mindset of those employees. Actually, let's go there right now, and then Lodra, I'm going to come to you.
I think you're hearing a couple of gentlemen here, Tom included, that have presence practices in place, and perhaps they've developed that over years, maybe decades, right? So if those of you are at home are thinking, like Tom was, like, my cat just died, what are these guys talking about? I think let's simplify it, because that's pretty horrific. So let's just put it in this sense. If you are comparing and judging, chances are you are on a downward slope in a trajectory towards a rabbit hole. So I'd say the most important thing you can do right now is to catch yourself from judging or comparing. People are going on Facebook and just venting. They just need to do it sometimes. Heck, I did it the day the SBA thing didn't work, right? Just let people vent. This is not the time to be a troll and fire back facts and other things to refute somebody. And I really love the fact that that's actually happening. So back during 2016 in the election, that wasn't happening, and our country got very divisive. But right now, I'm seeing a lot more just letting it go than I am the other direction. Now, there's certainly other cases of that. So not judging and not comparing, because, for instance, I could be on Facebook and just trying to do a fun little post with the ocean in the background. And if you judge me and think, well, that guy doesn't care about people dying in hospitals, you might not know that my sister works on the front lines in a hospital, right? So let's not judge, let's not compare. If we need to vent, go ahead. But ultimately, when it comes to your employees, I think the thing that business owners are missing is they're in the mindset of what they need. What do I need for my company to survive and keep going? The very first question of every employee should be, how are you doing? Not just cursory, like, I'm fine. No. Are your basic needs met? How are you doing? Walk me through what's going on. Do you have somebody on the front lines? And I think that's a golden opportunity for business owners. I was so shocked on week one. I have a concert business too that sells 100,000 concert tickets a year. So we're shut down. Literally, we got shut down the first week for 6 months. And my production manager at 10 years, I went to him. I said, how are you doing? And he goes, I could use the break, to be honest. And I'm going into the meeting thinking, man, am I going to have to lay off my buddy at 10 years? And we then get into a conversation and he goes, the only thing that's really bothering me is my car payment. I've only got $8,000 to go on my car bill. Well, his compensation for the next couple of months was more than that. And so we made a deal with each other. I go, how about I send you $8,000 tomorrow and you pay off your car bill? Will that help? And he goes, yeah. And in return, take me off payroll for the next 4 months because I know you could use the help.
Yeah.
So if we're not asking, we're not truly knowing. So I think you need to ask your employees, what's really going on with you?
Yeah, I love that. And I certainly had that exact same conversation with my employees and was like, what's the real pain if we reduce payroll? And I found out what it was, and we worked through it, and they're in a good place. And now I'm financially neutral for the short term, which is exactly what I need to be so that I can focus on growing the business for next steps. That's great. Lodro, I want to ask you, going slightly back a little bit, there's that moment. There's the moment of escalation. There's the moment of like, something just triggered me, or something just happened, or Eric just went on the SBA loan website and reacted. In that moment, it's like our emotions, our psychology, everything can escalate up, or it cannot. What in that moment would you suggest to someone to catch themselves? What is it that someone could do?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, there's the sort of like meditation teacher part of me that's like, everyone should just be meditating, and then we're actually going to move our self in the right direction. But there's a better answer, where I'm basically going to throw out a couple of techniques here, like just rapid fire, and some might feel helpful for some people, and some might feel helpful for another. When someone feels particularly triggered in that moment, it's actually not different than what we did a few minutes ago, which is take 3 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Now, this is not a giant gap. It's not going to change your anxiety from 100 miles an hour to 0, but it is going to slow us down and let us have enough of a gap that we let go of the storyline that we've been playing on repeat, probably constantly around the thing. SBA is messed up, my business is failing, but these 3 deep breaths, and if you need 7, that's fine, in through the nose, out through the mouth, is just enough of a time to shift the focus into the body and allow us to make that choice then to be more present. So that's one. The other one is a few minutes later, we're still playing out the story. And we're saying, well, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. It's exactly what these wonderful people said before. It's like, no one's got the crystal ball. We don't know. And there's something about having to become comfortable with the discomfort of not knowing, which is really important. But in that moment, it might be helpful to ask yourself a simple question. Is this helpful? The first time you played out what you might want to do, probably helpful. Third time, maybe. 25th time, it is no longer helpful. Even just getting gently inquisitive with our experience can move us from that state of constantly playing the same stories over and over and over again and bring us back into the present moment. And the last one I'll do is an old slogan that I learned from the insight meditation teacher, Joseph Goldstein, where these strong emotions come up. And even just saying to ourselves, it's okay to feel this. Just these, it's okay to feel this. That having fear or anxiety or anger or whatever it is doesn't make us wrong or bad. If we start acting out on anger to everyone and yelling at our beautiful mothers, probably not a good thing to be doing. But to feel it and say, it's okay to feel this, that can actually be quite healing, to just feel what we feel without judgment.
Yeah, those are great. And I love that they're very practical tips that the people listening to can use right away. By the way, for the people who are listening, this panel is here to answer your questions as well. So if you have questions, please type them in, and I'm going to get to as many of those as I can. And in fact, we actually, we have a question for Eric, a question for you specifically. How are you able, because you had mentioned this, the businesses, how are you able to manage your own personal frustrations, challenges, and everything, while also putting on this front-facing image to your employees? The question is, how much are you sharing with your employees about what you're internally going through? And
I'll take it a step. Yeah, take it a step further. Actually, my business partner, Patrick Combs, and I, we volunteered to do crisis and opportunity coaching for all of our customers, an hour a day. So we've been knee deep in it for 3 weeks, several hours a day of getting into this very area, right? So we're developing a model that really, really works for us. And I'll just share with you, it starts with assessing basic needs and really drilling in and helping with some strategies, because they're all over the map, guys. They're not just consistent for everybody. The second thing is we're teaching people how, for them to figure out how they align with good feelings. And then finally, the last thing is, hey, what's your bliss? What would make you perfectly happy and joyful? Can we start to step into those projects quite a bit? But when it comes to employees, I think you got to be transparent and you got to avoid false promises. We've seen on the national stage what false promises look like and feel like. They drive us nuts. So I avoid crystal ball predictions. All I bring in is, hey, this is my experience from the last recession and the one before that. This is what worked for me. This is how I thrive. Not, this is the only way you can thrive. This is what's going to happen tomorrow. So I think mentoring up in this area is really, really important. and realize that based on age, a lot of employees have never been through a recession. I remember my first one. I'm like, what the hell is this dot-com bubble bursting? I didn't know what that meant. I was 20-something years old. So I think taking the time to explain to them recessions, why they happen, how they happen. I've even done a lot of research on them. I know that the average recession lasts, a particular number of months, and then on top of that, be able to share as much information as possible to educate your employees, right? And then the other thing is, say you have Stan and Lodro's skill sets. Those shouldn't be kept to yourselves. If you're a business owner, you got to realize that your employees are freaking out. Maybe they're caught in judgment. They're caught in their own ego and their own thoughts, and they're on an infinite loop. So you got to step in as a leader and share like these things that actually keep you going. So I just think this is one of the greatest teaching opportunities. This virus is an incredible teacher, incredible, in so many areas, because this is a three-front war. There's never been a three-front war fought before that I can think of in history, right? Most battles, even in World War II, we fought Japan and we fought Germany, but this is a three-front war on mental, physical, and economic, right? And all of them are important. So getting into comparing and judging which one's more important, wasted time.
Yeah, Eric, that three-front war is something I haven't been able to phrase it like that, but that's something I've been thinking about, because I'm thinking about the fact that it's global, it's hitting everyone personally, and it's hitting everyone professionally.
Yes.
I'm trying to think in the past, like, when has something like that happened? And it's so unique because we're all challenged in that way. So thank you for reference three front. Stan, a question came in, and I think it's going to be relevant for you because I know that you work with some younger generation people, and you also work with older business owners as well. And so I'm curious, in times like this, are you seeing that there's a difference in how millennials or Gen Y or Gen Z people are managing this versus older generations?
Right. I think what's interesting now is there's social media, and in understanding how to use social media as an ally or as an advocate, as opposed to I need attention. I believe Eric mentioned like the attention piece and going out there. What's happening is typically we can go out and we can interact. We talk with people back and forth. We have conversations. But now there's so many people being right here. It's like, where do I go for the attention? And so it has been social media. I'll share whatever needs to be shared. I'll share what doesn't need to be shared. I just want someone to pay attention to me, and that can become harmful. But now as I'll call it, the dust is settling, there's been a bit of destruction. Now people have a time to build. They're understanding that there are some resources that they can share that are helpful. There are resources they can share that are going to help them. And I think that is what's been more powerful, is like this generation is really smart. They're comfortable talking and speaking their mind, but now they're understanding more context of what you should speak when you are comfortable speaking your mind. And I think that's what's beginning to happen more. Early on, I feel like it was a bit frustrating from, let's say, a social media standpoint, or seeing the barrage of things going on. But now, as you mentioned, again, the three-part war, that's so amazing the way you stated that. I think now everyone's finally saying, oh, everyone feels this way.
Yeah.
I don't have to say more like, we're all here. Okay, I'm finally not alone. And that has been, that's been a calm, I think, and understanding, no, I'm not crazy, no more crazy than everyone else is. We can all move in this thing together and share our resources together and be okay.
Yeah. A question came in. I'm going to ask to all three of you, starting with Lodro and then to Eric, the question is, post this crisis, there's an immediate crisis, and that seems like we're going to have an economic one that's going to last longer. What is your hope in terms of the shift of humanity? What's something you hope shifts, ideally for the better, but they just said hope shifts. So Lodro?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go towards the better here. Because there's this line that's been rattling around in my brain. It's not mine. It's actually, Tom knows my wife. Her name's Adriana Lindbuck. She's also a meditation teacher and wrote a book called Tea and Cake with Demons. And in it, she says, your suffering is not the most interesting thing about you. And something that Stan was just saying sort of rattled in my brain. I'm like, wow, we're really noticing, like, me and my story is not so different than everyone else's stories right now. There's some sense of universality and some sense of shared humanity that's being recognized. My suffering in Hudson looks different than Stan's out there, but there's some sense of like, well, there's fear arising, there's anxiety, there's common topics, there's places that we can connect and share, have shared values. And I think, I'd love to believe that coming off of this, we start to really continue to connect with one another from that sense of like, oh, we're all human beings. I don't mean to be very like woo-woo about this, but like we are coming to a point of deep understanding of one another. The Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, who's also a Nobel Peace Prize winner, he's fond of saying, understanding is the other name of love. If we can't understand someone, we can't offer love. So there's some sense of more seeking to understand, even within this conversation. Eric and Stan were both mentioning, like, people are more willing to give people the benefit of doubt, more willing to open up and connect from a heart level, to let people off the hook for making minor mistakes or whatever it is, for venting. I would love to see that continue, that sense of like, really being willing to seek to understand one another.
Great. Love it. Eric, what do you hope to see come out of this shift?
Yeah, more folks coming over to the good person side. So, there's never going to be a situation where the people trying to take advantage of people is ever going to go away. But what I am seeing is just a massive shift to wanting to serve and to help people. And so when corporate America or that corporate job or that previous life lets you down, you might open yourself up more. And I use the word bliss a lot. What I'm really talking about, what is that gift that you really want to give? The one you've been giving yourself for decades. Can you give that to somebody else? And so I think we're going to go from a place of searching for happiness, which is an individual pursuit mostly, to shifting to joy and understanding there's a difference. Joy is when your heart is in another and you're giving your greatest gift to somebody else. So I'm actually super excited about, I talk a lot about what's your hidden opportunity in all of this. I'm not talking about like some private equity guy going up and gobbling up companies at $1, a share. I'm actually saying to everybody, what's your hidden opportunity? What's that gift you can give to somebody else and serve? And we're seeing that rise up. We're seeing people that are stuck at home and they're gravitating in that direction. So I'm really hopeful that we come out of this with more people actually doing what their heart really desires. And I say all the time, hey, if you're in a moneyless economy for the next 6 months, how would you spend your time? And it's pretty easy to get to, that one thing, because we all have it. I don't believe that nobody has it. Yeah. I think we hide it. I think that's what we call secret ambitions. It's in our subconscious, but it's there and it can be brought out. So I'm hoping for that economy, an economy where people are truly giving their greatest gift.
Yeah. Great. I love it. And Stan, why don't you round us out with the answer to that question? What do you hope shifts in society?
Yes, so certainly echoing their perspectives, and also understanding that consistency is king. So interestingly enough, what I found is there are people that I didn't know like to cook. People that I didn't know like to dance. They dance. So everyone, as everyone echoed, they're getting back to what they really wanted to do if time nor money was a factor. So post this, what's going to increase the level of joy, as Eric mentioned, also is being able to still do these things as business owners, as employees, as entrepreneurs, like what were you doing when time and money wasn't okay? Do a little bit of those things every single day, so, the joy echoes through you daily. So you're waking up, and all those things that, everyone mentioned feeds a healthy mindset, and always attributed to like being a superhero. Every superhero has their artillery belt. They have a layer that they go back to. So even if it's not what you need right now, you're going to need it someday. That day might be tomorrow.
Yeah, I love it. And Stan, what you're saying and the questions you just asked, I know Eric's Bliss Champions program well, and that is what he's trying to get people to do.
Wow.
But he's trying to do it outside of a crisis, and now he has a crisis, and now people are cooking because they're like, I love cooking. I didn't realize.
Right. You guys, I'm actually finding my job way easier than ever before. But I also want to show personal responsibility, right? So you can look and go, oh, that guy's got a bunch of businesses. What does he have to worry about? But I also see a gift that's ready to be brought forward. I've been helping people start companies forever. I call them Bliss journeys. But at the end of the day, you know what's harder than starting a company? gracefully exiting a company. And so my partner and I, our big brainstorm is literally, you can go to our website right now, blisschampions.com, and you'll see it'll take you to a new site called Blissful Exits. We're going to actually start helping small business owners, mid-sized business owners, gracefully exit their companies. Because at the end of the day, people work really hard. They put their life and their souls into building these businesses, and there's really no one there waiting to really help. There's bottom dwellers that'll take advantage, and then there's private equity companies with their billions of dollars that are going to take advantage. But somebody has to fight for the business owner too on both sides of the equation. So I'm going to be dedicating the rest of my year to really helping identify business owners with strong businesses that perhaps are in real bad shape, or they're just tired. They've been through the last 2 recessions, no more, and helping people blissfully exit. That's possible.
Yeah, love it. And just a reminder to everyone listening, we have time for questions, so pop them in and we'll happily answer them. I have a new question that came in, and to set this one up, and several of you have mentioned about this, like, we have this time now, and what are we using this time with? I have a book that I've been writing for a while, and I should be every single day writing on this book. Like, I have the time. I really should be doing it. Am I? Yeah, like, I'm getting to it. So I know I'm not alone in this. And I know a lot of people have this thing they want to do and now have the time, but yet the motivation still isn't there. And so how do I, and Lodro, I'll start with you, and Eric, and then Stan, is how do you motivate yourself every day to do this despite all the things that are happening? How do you do that? Lodro, start with you.
Sure. It's a great question. I think one aspect here is just sort of getting, I'm going to say, consistency in like a variety of ways to try and make it sound more interesting. But for me, it's often a consistent time of day is helpful. And this, by the way, for anyone who's like, how do I start the meditation? The advice I'm giving is not different, that we'd find a consistent time of day to write, to meditate, to cook. And that's the time that I'm going to dedicate to it. And you set the amount of time. It's a consistent amount of time. So every day it's an hour, or every day it's 20 minutes, or whatever you can actually budget. And then to treat it as sacred as you would any of the other things that you normally do. The other aspect here that I think is really helpful is to add it into the routines of the day. So maybe it's you're getting up in the morning routine. Maybe it's, okay, I'm clocking out of work. I know that a lot of entrepreneurs have trouble doing that, but you say, okay, it's 5 o'clock, from 5 to 6, I do my writing. There's some sense of like, and here it's just part of the unwinding of the day. Then I go and have dinner with it just becomes part of it. So for many people, when I'm talking about meditation, it's like I get up, I shower, I get dressed, I walk the dog, I meditate. Somewhere in there, I also brush my teeth. I don't think to mention it very often because it's just part of it. You could get these things into that level of routine and a consistent time of day. It goes a long way. And the last thing I'll say is a consistent environment can be really helpful. So, Tom, I know that you are currently a little bit displaced, and if there's like a quiet room or a quiet corner of a room, maybe that you sort of like turn your chair away from the family or something like that. That's your space. That's great. But something that marks the space can be really helpful. Maybe it is a consistent desk or a consistent cushion or something that says, this is where I go to do my thing.
Great. Eric, what about you? How would you, tips for motivation to get?
Yeah, I said earlier, the number one reason people don't reach their dreams is they don't begin. And there's two sides to that coin. They're both mental, by the way. And the first one's limiting beliefs, which we could go on for hours about. But the second one is resistance. So what you're actually alluding to is resistance. Now, resistance is that voice in your head that says, it's almost like a lover whispering in your ears, like, just what you need to hear when you need to hear it, to not get up and write that book. Oh, that's right. Tom, you're so tired. You're going through so much. You don't need to write that book right now. Let's just watch some more Netflix. Tiger King episode 4, I heard it's awesome. So resistance, we have to identify how it's speaking to us, and we have to defeat it. So for me, that's how you begin. It's, resistance, you're talking to me again, right? That's the enemy. And we need to go from resistance to obsession, healthy obsession. And so that's the journey. from someone that's just not getting it done and never beginning to someone who's actually on their bliss journey to accomplish whatever it is they want to do.
Love it. And Stan, what about you? What would be your tips to motivate to get that thing done that you want to get done? We have that we normally never have.
Right. People get up and go to work tomorrow because they've attached it to a meaning, a purpose, and an end goal. That's why people are, even if they're late, like they go, right? So we have to attach what it is that we don't like to do to an end goal. Is it money? Is it freedom? Is it what it like, and purposefully attach it? That's going to help quite a bit. And the other things, I guess it's a little bit more practical, is doing it, like letting it be the first thing you do when you get up in the morning. Sometimes I have a note like on my dry erase board next to the bed. I'll roll over it. It's the first thing I see might be to exercise really quick. So I do it before I brush my teeth. I do it before anything, because if I brush my teeth, that's all I needed to say, I don't have time to get back to the exercise. So even something as simple as, writing or doing or eating right or drinking, whatever it is you want to do, like letting that be the first thing you do in the morning after the good mornings, if there's someone to say good morning to besides yourself.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. Those are good tips. I shall implement all of them.
We want pages on the desk, Tom. End of day.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, we only have a little bit of time left here. And so I want to check in with each of you going around. Stan, we'll just stick with you since you were just there on the mic. What's the best advice you've personally heard or read from someone else that has helped you with your mindset during this time? And it's
believe in your.
It's okay to quote me.
Okay, that's exactly. I was waiting for that caveat because I'm going right in.
Can we all quote you?
Yeah.
No, right? That's what I'm saying. Always show up.
You've heard from Tom. No, that's helped you too.
Okay, cool. Done. I haven't listened. Like, certainly always show up. So that's something that always show up in everywhere. Life, relationship, work. And then more than that is like believe in yourself as much as you believe in the people that you admire. Sometimes we give those that we admire so many accolades, so much trust. Like, we believe in everything they did and the way and how they did it. And then when it comes to us, we're like, oh, well, I'm different. It's like, actually, and officially now, we're not all that different. So that's the best advice that I've received, is like, believe in yourself as much as you believe in those that you admire. And that has been powerful. And that's also inspired me to look those people up more, to spend more time, studying their ways, their systems, to be a better version of me daily. And that's professionally, personally, and everything.
Great. Lojo, what about you? What's the best advice you've heard from others that's helped you during this time?
Yeah, I have a friend who's a therapist who keeps telling everyone, be curious, unbiased, and unafraid, which is sort of power packed. And we talked a bit about curiosity before, of like, just getting into like, is this exactly what is happening? Is this just my projection of the idea of like, what if something happens in the future? So be curious about our own experience, to be unbiased in how we relate to people. We don't immediately lock down and villainize some people and blame others. And unafraid, which isn't to say that we don't have fear rise, but that we're willing to sit in the midst of it and not let it overwhelm us. We don't chase after the stories that keep us there.
Great. Love it. Eric, what about you?
Yeah, the great Patrick Holmes, a good friend of both of ours, right? He's an Eckhart Tolle prodigy. And I've been learning presence practice from him, but in coaching with him, to watch him deploy it at this time on so many people and to witness it, my answer would be everything out of his mouth right now. But the biggest takeaway for me was curiosity, right? Because I couldn't help myself at the beginning, but to try to predict, let me get out that crystal ball. I've been here before, right? And so it really helped me when I heard him say to somebody, hey, would you consider, instead of trying to be so predictive, to be curious? And so I've been holding that throughout this. This was about 3.5 weeks ago that I heard that for the first time. And literally it's a mantra for me now. It's, oh, you're curious about what's going to happen to the state of the economy or when we're going to bounce back. Because I get calls every day. Hey, Eric, when is this going to be over? Nobody knows that. Nobody knows. Are you asking me when my next concert got rescheduled to? Because that's end of August, early September. But, again, I'm just guessing like the rest of us. So curiosity, I really like that. So it's amazing that we're all kind of hitting on that point. Let's be curious about the future versus fearful of it.
Yeah, I love all of these, but I have several notes here, and I'm gonna highlight them for the close. But before we do that, I just want to check in with each of you, because this is actually several months ago. I was just having a really rough day, and I opened up my phone and I texted maybe 6 people that I hadn't talked with in a while, and sent them some just like thanks, gratitude, appreciation, for just something that I just appreciate about them. And it was amazing to watch my attitude change completely. And I think it was Eric who said, "Don't think about yourself, but think about others." And in that moment, I was giving gratitude to others, and my mindset totally shifted away from me, and I was just instantly better after those 6 text messages. And so I'm curious for each of you, what's making you smile right now? What's making you happy? What do you appreciate about this gift that we are being given in this moment? Stan, start with you.
Cool. Thank my ability to play more in some ways. And I have a son. He's 19 months old, and he's 19 months old. So I'm spending more time playing outside, following him around, watching his curiosity. And again, that word being mentioned so much now is really, it's like Neo in the Matrix kind of understanding. That's made me be more curious in following him. And he's not afraid of the same things that I was afraid of growing up or learned to be afraid of, right? He's kind of going and doing. And that as a, let's say, a husband, as a dad, and then as a professional, has caused me to be more curious. Like, so what if I did what I hadn't never done before? How might that turn out? And so that's helped. So that's what's really come out of this, the power of curiosity and watching someone play, which evokes my sense to want to play and be more lighthearted and just to go for things instead of being worried, which, I know Eric mentioned, like in terms of being judged, or Lodra mentioned, like being judged, like letting go of those things, those unbiases, and going for it. And then literally the sky isn't even the limit.
Love it. Eric, what about you? What's making you?
I think, you know what my life's mission is about, is to get people to do their dreams and follow their bliss. And so just watching people go for it, because the 2 biggest limiting beliefs in the world are I'm not enough, I won't be loved. But the third one to me in my world is I have to choose between my bliss and making money. So now that the making money component has been removed for a little while, people are going for it. And that to me is like, there it is. And so I'm just really encouraged that people are actually going to come out of this doing what they were meant to do and what they really love. I think that makes a better world. So I'm excited about that. I'm seeing it with my own eyes. The people that are actually doing the best are the ones that were just at the beginning of their bliss journeys that really don't have any idea how to turn it into a company yet. Those are the ones that in my coaching are doing fantastic right now because they have all this time to work on these things.
Yeah, it's so interesting, Eric. It's like they thought about doing it in the past, but they were too scared, didn't want to shake the boat. But now the boat's been shook, and they're kind of like, go, try it out. I love it.
Well, one of their biggest impediments was, will I be able to make money from this? And now they're not worrying about that. So the people I'm worried about the most are the business owners. It's why I'm on Facebook every day talking almost exclusively to them and their mindset, and why I want to come in and try to help them. That's the tough one, Tom. And you described it earlier. You're a business owner. You're dealing with a set of problems that are unique. We try not to compare, but we need to help each other. And the business community is. We're all talking to each other in case people don't realize. And that's super important. We're not watching the news to figure out what to do next. We're talking to each other.
Yeah. So I would say, like, we got to be in it together. Lodra, what about you? What's making you happy? Where you find gratitude in this moment?
Yeah, everywhere. But first of all, where was my text message, Tom? One.
I didn't want to say anything.
In your defense, you can see here on my calendar, you can't really see my calendar, can you? But every Tuesday it says, send nice things to friends. And it's like just again, same thing that like it's a habit that I want to have, that every week, in my case, Tuesdays, there's a half-hour schedule where I can reach out to friends. And sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's a series of texts, but some way of like genuinely following through on that connection. And even now, I won't say what reunion it was going to be, this May for my college reunion, but it's not happening. And even before that was announced, a friend who I hadn't talked to in years organized something, and there were all of these people, probably the only people who would actually want to see at that reunion, on a Zoom call. And I hadn't seen some of them, I was about to say how many years, over a decade. And what a joy that there was this sense of real connection, so that we don't lose the sense of connection just because we can't physically hold someone, that we can actually still, emanate some sense of warm-heartedness to one another, even in these difficult times.
Yeah, I love it. And,
Cool.
and I was about to close with me sharing some of the biggest lessons, but you three may or may not know this, and the people listening and watching may not know this, but there is a ninja behind the scenes here that has been taking all the best learnings and crafting it into a visual art, really, of what it is. And I'm going to share my screen here quickly so that you can see it, to take a look at what has been happening behind the scenes. This is from Heather Willems of Two Line Studios. And what she does is she takes meetings and converts it essentially into art based on the best lessons that have come out of it. And if you look here, these are the words of Lodro, Eric, and Stan. And apparently I said some smart things as well here, so I'll go on there. And it's all built into this, this graph that Heather created. And all of us will have access to it as long as she's been doing several of the sessions throughout the country.
Wow, good job, Heather.
Amazing.
Yeah, so make sure you check that out at Two Line Studios. I believe it's also going up on the website for the conference as well. So I'm going to stop sharing with that. And thank you to the three of you for taking time out of your days, your day, to be able to be with us and share your thoughts. Because I know each one of you individually is doing your thing and you're successful. And so to be able to take the time to share with the group is really powerful. And I'm hearing a lot of positive notes in the comments here as well. So thanks to you three. And here's to keeping the mindset, as I believe Lodro said, curious, unbiased, and unafraid.
Yes.
So thank you all, and I'm going to pass it back to Jeff.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, panelists and Tom. That was really amazing.